I had my abortion at 18, and then I buried it, and 33 years later, I realized I needed help in healing.
I had my abortion when I was 23 years old, and it took me over 25 years before I ever sought out any kind of help for healing.
So over the years, I kept feeling the pain that I couldn't forgive myself. That was my biggest thing, that I knew God had forgiven me, but at 18, I made a mistake. I was very naive.
I was 20 years old when I had my abortion. My current boyfriend at the time, he basically said, I will not stand by your side unless you have an abortion. So I felt like I didn't have a choice. I knew what I was doing was wrong. I grew up in church. I already felt shame growing up. I just didn't want to be the one to show up with like an unplanned pregnancy.
I chose to have an abortion at 18. And of course I told, the father. I didn't really get much support from him.
When I was a teenager, my then girlfriend and I had 2 abortions, actually.
I was all alone. I didn't have anybody to tell. And so I was scared, ashamed, embarrassed, panicked, and yet I didn't have anybody to talk to about it.
The things that I was really experiencing was definitely regret. I regretted it the minute I took the pill. And that is something that I think about every day.
For 25 years, I suffered with feeling unworthy, feeling unlovable, feeling that I needed to cover up how I really feel inside and to be this amazing person who has a great job and has a great life.
While we were still in the parking lot at the Planned Parenthood, she told me, we're never talking about this again to anyone ever, never, ever. And I kept that promise. We never did talk about it for 45, 46 years. I had a lot of remorse, guilt.
The thing I wish, I knew about the procedure, what it would be like, the trauma and the emotions afterward, because it's just marketed to you as a quick fix and your problem that you have is gone.
And that's the only kind of counseling or only kind of information we ever received was, yeah, it's normal, it's easy, everybody does it kind of thing. There was no support whatsoever.
So I knew I needed the help to find that healing, to find the forgiveness.
I knew that I needed help because I had nowhere else to go.
My biggest thing was I always felt like I needed to tell my story for somebody else's benefit. I always felt that I needed to, but on the other hand, I always felt like it wasn't my story to tell. It was her story.
I just reached a point in my life where I felt like there was nothing of value in my life, and I didn't know what it was that was bothering me. And I became depressed, and I suffered with anxiety.
I joined the class and the study, and it brought the healing. But the biggest thing I learned, and the most important thing that I try telling all the women that go to the class is that God's forgiven you 100%. God's going to use my abortion. God's going to use that for His glory.
I realized, first of all, I wasn't alone, but second of all, there was an opportunity for forgiveness and healing, because with abortion, sometimes we think that it's unforgivable.
We started doing the couples post-abortive counseling, and it was scary at first. I did feel a relief that finally was telling the story.
I went through the post-abortion support program, and by going through that, I discovered not only God's love, but I discovered God's grace and forgiveness. One of the important things that I discovered going through the post-abortion support group was this beautiful freedom that I finally had in my life that I had never had in my life before that. And I would just want every other woman to feel that freedom.